Hi, everybody. My name is Arthur. Welcome to Zenlayer's first webinar. I'm just looking over some of our attendees here. We have some more people showing up. I'll kind of give the team at large just a couple minutes to get on, and then I'll be kicking off the webinar. Just hang on tight. Okay, couple of minutes. So let's go ahead and kick things off. So once again, we have a few more people joining the webinar. Welcome again to Zenlayer's first webinar of this year. My name is Arthur Huang. I am the Product Operations Manager here at Zenlayer. Been with the company for about 8 years or so. So very familiar with what we do here and very excited to take this time today and kind of share a little bit about what we do for all of our customers and sort of how we're able to help them reach a wider audiences across the globe here. So I'm just going to cover a couple things here, a little bit of an overview about who we are and what we do. And then we're going to go ahead and just jump into some product information. If at any time, everybody who is on the webinar, if you have any questions at all, we have a couple of people manning the chat room. So, feel free to pop any questions in there. We'll be more than happy to answer them for you, even during the call is fine. All right. So for everybody who's new here, Zenlayer, founded by global technology and telecom executives, network operators, and engineers. It's based in Los Angeles, California. We do have global branches across in China, in India, Singapore, Hong Kong, and more locations. And our mission here at Zenlayer is to connect the world. We are celebrating 10 years of dedicated WOW service for our customers, and we're thrilled to announce that Zenlayer has built the world's first hyperconnected cloud. A hyperconnected cloud for us is an edge compute platform, right? But it's paired with a global network fabric that reaches over 6 billion consumers in just under 25 milliseconds. With over 300 locations globally, including emergent markets like South America, Africa, Middle East, and Asia, our customers can deploy applications and services with just a few clicks, and they can reach a lot of people. So our product overview and vision when it comes to sort of how we approach the global scene here is, you'll see here on the map that I'm sharing that we do have extremely good coverage across the globe. You see a heavy sort of concentration here in the APAC, EU regions, a lot of the higher tier countries or the sort of up and coming sort of countries with a lot of people who have a lot of demand for internet usage. But a lot of these tier 1 companies are still kind of trying to expand into them, trying to figure out how are we going to approach these, and how can we go ahead and make this a little bit easier for our customers. So first off, I want to mention that Zenlayer services, they're all built with a core principle in mind, and that is vertical integration. All of our services and products build upon each other, and they can be seen as modules that can be kind of slotted together, almost like a little bit of a puzzle piece to create a perfect solution for that customer, exactly what they need or what they're looking for at reasonable prices, reasonable lead times, and everything like that. It includes everything from infrastructure level services like data center services to even application acceleration like our global accelerator. We make it easy to mix and match. But today's sort of focus here will actually be on 2 of our services. It's going to be our hyperconnected compute, which includes both bare metal cloud, which we term as BMC, as well as virtual machines or just VMs. And the other product here also will be our global network fabric. And this includes our software-defined network. This is our sort of that magic sauce that makes everything work. And also, I wanted to take a moment here before we jump straight into the products. I would also like to take a moment to introduce our Zen console. So Zen Console, all the products and solutions that we will be going over today and will be continuing to talk about can be built, ordered, and managed all within our console platform. So if you give me just one moment here, I will jump over and kind of show you guys what that looks like. Awesome. So for everybody on the call, this is what our Zenlayer console looks like. This is a one-stop shop for a lot of our customers when they're looking to understand, hey, what is Zenlayer's reach? What can I deploy? Where can I deploy it? And they can even go ahead and start building their solutions on here. And we'll kind of be walking through a few of these different pages here when we're talking through our different products here, just so that everybody on the call will have an understanding of what it actually looks like and what it feels like to be provisioning these types of solutions. All right. So for BMCs and VMs, these are our compute layers. So these are relatively straightforward. These represent either dedicated or shared resources that are pre-racked and are available to all of our customers as an instant deployment model. They're across about 80 of our different POPs and locations, and specs will range anywhere between a 4-core or 6-core with a 32 gigs, all the way up to dual 16-core, dual 20-core, 256 sort of gigabytes or sort of SSD or NVMe storage. There's a lot of different types of servers that we do actually make available to our customers, just because there are, of course, a lot of varying needs. But we do kind of try to put them into buckets, which we call t-shirt sizes, S, M, and L. And then also for our virtual machines, they're loosely kind of broken up into general purpose, compute optimized or memory optimized VM sort of pre-configured configurations for you. Other considerations, of course, when we're talking about compute, clock speed is very important for a lot of our customers, as well as network ports and speeds. Networking is huge for us at Zenlayer, as you can tell with our global fabric, and the hyper-connectedness of everything is really saying, hey, we have these presences, we have these POPs, but how do we interconnect them? How do we get everything to be working as one sort of symbiotic whole entity? Of course, when we are designing and building our compute locations, all parts of the infrastructure from PDUs, switches, cross-connects, and routers, they're all built with high availability in mind. And there is also a whole lot of buzz and exciting development around machine learning and artificial intelligence, of course. So GPUs, they're also supported here at Zenlayer, and we do also have those deployed, and we have the ability to meet the needs of our customers when it comes to GPU performance at the edge as well. And great. All right. So this enables our customers to deploy compute onto our network, compute, hosting, or virtualized solution that they need at the edge. And what this means is that when these services are deployed at the very edge, that means that it has good connectivity and is close to their end users who are actually using their services. What is sort of hand in hand with this is that when our customers are using these servers and compute, they are also leveraging our local BGP blend for traffic. So Zenlayer works with global and local providers. We have an open peering policy, and as such, our general BGP transit blends work very well for our users who are looking for a great performance. And of course, if there are any adjustments that need to be made, our IP transit team can help with routing adjustments, announcements, and other requirements as well. Okay, and so that's all I have for the compute portion. If there are any questions, please put them into the chat. I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen share over to our console platform and dive into our second product here in just a moment. All right. So our second service to focus on today will be our global network fabric. And with the global network fabric, it's going to be what we call here as cloud networking. That's going to be including both layer 2 and layer 3 solutions when it comes to networking. This enables our customers to interconnect any number of sites while simultaneously providing unparalleled flexibility for them. Fabric supports many different ways for customers to onboard. So we can kind of take a look at what that looks like. This one's in particular is a layer 2. So this is fairly straightforward for anybody who's familiar with layer 2 or layer 3 in terms of when you're actually provisioning or configuring this. Layer 2, pretty simple. It's just point to point. It's a line. And it's a little bit more traditional in terms of how you're deploying it. So you're looking at physical ports inside of data centers. You're going to different providers and asking for, hey, do we have a circuit? Do we have a path? Is it going to be redundant or not? And all these different things are considerations that Zenlayer already has done when we are actually creating this product. But of course, customers can always look into it a little bit more and say, hey, I want to have more redundancy, more HA, or how do I want to go ahead and build this particular tool? What I need, we give the tools to them for that. So for the layer 2 here, pretty straightforward here. You see 2 ports. Every single one of these will be 2 ports. And this is a test account. So these are just test runs. So you see 1 Mbps or 10 Mbps or 20 Mbps. And so what this also is going to show is that customers can essentially determine two points for either end of the layer 2. And then they can say, hey, I want to go ahead and have that link in between be a commit of 1 Mbps or 10 Mbps or 30 Mbps. And the customers are able to kind of ramp this up and ramp this down as per their actual business needs. They can add and delete sort of nodes and stuff like that from the layer 3 as well. So it really tries to give the tools to our customers' hand in terms of managing and deploying these different solutions. There are also some bandwidth monitoring details in here that we should be able to see as well. And just popping into our layer 3 here for the next part. So our layer 3, which is our cloud router under our fabric, it supports many different ways for customers to onboard and access our network infrastructure. So this includes, but is not limited to, physical data center ports, local loops to an office building, shared NNI ports, IP cycle over public internet, and of course, public cloud access. So, Fabric does a lot, but of course, with such a huge reach, how do we guarantee our SLAs? Well, our Fabric, like our compute nodes, it's built with high availability, but beyond just the infrastructure and physical router components and such like that, we also have our software logic, right? So this is a SDN or software defined network, and that's the software part, that's sort of the magic sauce that makes everything work. So the software logic enables the network to be a self-healing network. And this means that under predetermined occurrences, which is either set by the Zenlayer team or by our end customers as well, if they have specific demands, under predetermined occurrences, such as a circuit going full down, higher than expected latency, or even certain traffic jitter thresholds, if they're past, our system can and will move routes and paths to maintain both high performance and uptime. And this is, of course, done in a very fast and quick manner that the majority of our customers won't even see that anything happened. Customers can also manage different latency and jitter thresholds themselves, of course, and they can leverage the innate self-healing functions of our network, or they can, as I mentioned earlier, opt out of that and kind of just build it and use it as their infrastructure and build their own high availability structure off of our network here. So again, options, if you already have a network in place and you kind of need to work with what you have on hand already today, we're a pretty good problem solver when it comes to that and figuring out how we can work with existing infrastructure or anything else like that as well. Okay, and for the layer 3, I'm going to go ahead and pop into a slightly different account here and show a quick sort of a deployment step when it comes to your layer 3 router. So when you come to our console page here, you will see kind of a little bit of a wizard here. We do have a multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, and office connection types here, kind of give you a little bit of visual of what typically we would see with some of our customers. But we'll kind of pop into here into our layer 3 cloud router, and let's say it's a multi-cloud. And this is a way for our customers to say, hey, I have maybe an AWS region in the US. I have a Tencent sort of connectivity or dependencies over in the APAC region. We can go ahead and basically enable the customers to do a hybrid cloud approach, putting different disparate clouds and getting them to talk to each other very easily, since Zenlayer has already run all of these different on-ramps into all of these different clouds. So for our customers, this is the process. You would really just pick a couple different nodes that you have here. Let's say GCP, for example. Let's just go with these two here, Hong Kong for GCP and US East 1 for AWS. So what that looks like here when you're actually configuring is actually incredibly straightforward. Anybody who has connected into AWS with a direct connect or through a cross connect or something of that flavor will be familiar with this. Really just AWS account ID, some of your peering IP information so that AWS's VPC and Zenlayer's cloud router are able to talk to each other. And then everything after that is sort of up to our customers in terms of how they want to define their private IP ranges, how they want those to route, and anything else like that as well. And you'll see here that I've picked 2 nodes so far. Additionally, I would also like to mention that with this, we are also able to support SD-WAN connectivity into this as well, if so required by the customer. Let me see if I can find a custom creation. There we go. So under custom creation, we went over the cloud connectivity earlier, AWS, Tencent, and Google. You'll see here under this sort of more open way of building, we have data center port here, a VPC port here, and a virtual edge port here. So pretty quickly, the data center is, it correlates to the layer 2 ports that we have. The VPCs are actually virtual private cloud, but it's under Zenlayer, and what the VPC actually is for our bare metal cloud servers and VMs. So all of our compute, you can bundle them into different VPCs, and then those VPCs can then be onboarded onto your layer 3 network as one of your end pops. And then last but not least, of course, we have virtual edge. Right now it is support for IPsec over just normal configuration here. We do also support a few other access methods, but if you do require that, you're more than welcome to contact us and we'll be able to configure that for you. But pretty much the same here. This is assuming that the customer has an IPsec capable device already on their end. If they don't have a device like that, we are also able to help provide that and help customer with initial configuration. And then once they're onboarded onto our network, it's much the same as everything else. They now have access to the rest of our products and services. Instantaneous deployment on a global scale, and coupled with the ability to on-ramp or interconnect those locations with a multitude of methods, it creates amazing value for our customers. And we're able to really, we're really able to help be the easy button for our customers when considering new regions, revisiting planned locations that might not have made sense, maybe 6 months ago or a year ago. Maybe a project was shelved because the costs were too high or didn't have anybody on the team to really know how to approach a new region. We're really here to try to help. And advise enterprises looking to expand quickly and effectively. Okay. So that wraps up that portion. Let me check the chat here. Do you have direct to AWS China? Oh, I see Marco's already got you all set up. Awesome. Thank you, Marco. Okay, that brings us to the end of our sort of product overview. There are a couple use cases that I have on hand that I'll be jumping into, and then we'll kind of work through that right now. There we go. Okay, so for our first use case here, this is a gaming hosting company. Their pain points included most notably location availability under a single provider. You'll notice that for this particular solution for this customer, we ended up deploying across 5 different continents. So they had been working with a couple of different providers up to that point, and I think that they had gotten to a point with X number of providers that they're working with that they're like, hey, we don't really want to manage all of these different relationships and all these different things. So they were really looking to simplify that, right? They still want that service, they still want those types of pricing, and they still want to be able to get into those regions because that's what their business demands are. However, there were just so many walls and sort of these different pitfalls that they would be running into that it could turn out quite messy. Um, Beyond that, they also had a requirement for hybrid cloud connectivity. You'll see here they have both AWS and IBM Cloud, and then of course time to market. They don't have all day to sit around for gaming servers to spin up because you give it a month or two and the gamers are gone. So they needed to hit the market fast. They needed to hit it quickly and at volume, and they needed to do it with as few different providers as possible. So our solution for them included the bare metal clouds, of course. These were all already deployed. There were some locations where maybe we needed to ship a few more servers out and kind of make sure that the customer was taken care of in terms of how many they plan to use. But by and large, most of the servers, most of these 1,100 servers were already on location, already racked. So it was extremely fast for the customer to just start spinning that up and start building their environment before opening it to live customers. So they used 3 different types of servers from our BMC stack for L, Ms, and S servers, anything from operation support systems to Linux virtual server clusters. They kind of built their own little cluster there and replicated it across all these different locations, including Brazil and the Philippines. And then that's the bare metal cloud portion. And then what happened next was the fabric, right? So the fabric was layered on top of that as a sort of a hybrid cloud deployment with on-ramps into AWS and IBM regions. This enabled them to retain their use case for hyperscaler usage, right? There is definitely a place for hyperscaler usage, such as fast burst usage, if they really need very, very quick, very, very flexible sort of ability to burst and use those types of dependencies. Or if they were doing some, quick dev work, or they were doing something else, those are still very, very good. And there's a ton of great tools on there. But it enables their team to be able to move their more known type usages and sort of associated costs closer to their users at the edge, right? Instead of running everything from a centralized massive POP, you retain what you need there, and then they kind of just brought the services a little bit closer to their users and really, really improved 25 millisecond latency, for that last mile to their end customer. That's a direct benefit to all of their users. And that was true for them across 5 different continents, 10 different countries. Okay, and then our last use case for today. This is a use case for a secure financial company. So this particular customer, their pain points included poor cloud access and performance. They were also looking for competitive pricing, which I'm sure that we're all very familiar with here. And of course, they were also looking for a single provider for the solution as well. So as you may be able to tell from the shown diagram, the solution had to work with some existing customer dependencies. Zenlayer worked with the customer team. Okay, I think I'm back. Awesome. So as you can tell from the shown diagram, the solution had existing dependencies, and we work with the customer to solve those, right? inclusive of the solution is a primary office location that's on the left hand on the top there, primary office location, as well as a disaster recovery site. The 5 different local loops were run for this because as a financial institution, they were looking for extremely high availability and extreme security. So they were not about to do this over public internet. They were not about to do this over IPsec. They wanted everything to be local loops run directly into their devices. So they have complete and full control. And with that, we were able to help them with procuring with the local loops, making sure that everything landed on separate physical devices, separate ports, ideally different paths, all those different things were considered, just onboarding this customer onto our fabric. And then from there, once they're onboarded, you'll see kind of in that middle section where it says Zenlayer Manila 2 and Zenlayer Manila 3, from there and moving towards the right, what we went ahead and did was we were able to haul all their traffic to AWS Singapore, AWS Tokyo, which is indicative of intranet traffic or private traffic, and also improve their SaaS access into Office 365. This is their primary sort of service that their internal teams use, and they were experiencing a lot of call drops or a lot of issues with meetings, even within the same company, just because Office 365 services were just a little bit too far for everybody to be connecting to and then coming back, right? So in order to solve that, they pretty much put their entire company and their entire enterprise's team's experience through our network and piped it over to Hong Kong to improve that. That is side by side with better AWS access, side by side with security, side by side with high availability. So, and also customer is able to adjust any of their bandwidth commits on the fly. So you see here on the right-hand side for both the AWS Singapore and Tokyo, their primary and redundant circuits are currently put at 100 Mbps for their speeds. If the customer feels that, hey, we have a large update or there's going to be a large project coming in over the next couple months, we're going to want to go ahead and expand that circuit from 100 to 300. We can basically do that with a click. As we mentioned beforehand on our console, you have a lot as a customer, a lot of ability to manage your deployment. So you could kind of scale up and scale down your commit per your particular business needs. And so the end result, it was a secure, highly available network that covered all of the internal use cases, and it resulted in a 20 to 40 latency reduction, including both remote and on-site employees. And real world results, when you're sitting here, what that meant was faster and more reliable Office 365 document access and downloads, uploads as well, of course, Teams calls and experiences, and secure data transfer to and from the cloud for the entire organization. Okay, and that finishes up our use case. I want to take a moment here to address Kelly O'Neill. I see your question here in the chat here, in terms of if we have AWS direct to China. So China is a very unique region, of course, and so AWS is present in China. However, there are some certain functions and certain services that they're not able to provide there. And we work very well with AWS, and we also work with all the Chinese incumbents like CT and CU, all these different Chinese telecom carriers. And so we work with them with a solution. So we do have a solution for you, Kelly, for a direct connect into AWS China. I think in most cases for this type of thing for China, it's going to be more of a virtual circuit, but we can take a look into that and kind of figure out what would be working for your team and what would not. But we would be able to provide the direct connect into AWS China. And then outside of that, so that's one end. And then on the other end, if you're just connecting to Chinese nationals or anything else, like a team inside of China, that's fine. But if you want to bring that traffic out of China border to the globe, to the rest of the world, then there will definitely be a few things that we're going to want to go over and check. So, but we're very, very well versed in that. We've done it a million times, so more than happy to help you out with that, Kelly. Okay, got another good question here from Ryan. How fast can a China cross-border layer 2 or layer 3 connection be provisioned? Amazing question, great question. And the short answer is instantaneously. with an asterisk, right? So there's going to be a bunch of compliance, different sort of paperwork and compliance things that we're going to have to go through when it involves cross-border traffic with China. What's going to determine how much paperwork there's going to be is actually going to be what type of traffic you're running over. So if you were to say a layer 2 traffic for an internal enterprise connecting a main office and a branch office, let's say we do a layer 3, so we don't have to run local loops or cross connects necessarily, right? So if we do layer 3, both of your sites have public internet, we could get that turned up within a day. On the flip side, if you're looking at a more complex build or there are certain components that rely on other types of services like local loops, which are provided by local carriers inside of China, those have a 2-week, 4-week lead time minimum. Or if you had a data center, you need to do a cross connect that's a week of 5-7 days lead time usually for that. So that is actually what's going to determine what your total lead time is. But in terms of that cross-border circuit, that's already in place. Those are resources that Zenlayer as a service we already have. And that actually goes across all of our sort of fabric circuits. These are all circuits that we have in place. And we're able to support anywhere from 1 Mbps to 1 gig, 10 gigs, right? And anything above, you're looking at maybe 100 gigs, or you're looking for multiple 10 gigs, sort of like how this particular customer connected to us with 6 different local loops that they needed to get set up. We're more than happy to kind of help you architect that and figure out a good solution for you that makes sense, right? So hopefully that answered your question, Ryan. Okay. Marco, keep me honest. I think that's all the questions we have right now. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for attending our very first webinar. Hopefully we'll be able to see some of you again for our next few sessions. Yeah, absolutely. If there are any questions, any sort of, hey, how are we going to be able to access this, or where is this type of information, feel free to contact Marco, myself, anything like that. We'll be more than happy to send some more information your way and help you out with that. Just a quick note at the end here for our Zen console, the web experience that I was sharing earlier, that is a free sign up, and you can pop right in and you'll get the exact same experience that you saw me sharing here earlier. And it's free to sign up. You can just pop right in and take a look around and play around. And if you maybe wanted to do some sort of a test or a proof of concept or anything else like that, just give us a call and we'll get you all set up. All right. And if nothing else, thank you all so much. That's all for today.